that it is distinctly Rolls-Royce. As you take a look around the car, the styling, the large front grille, but it's a completely new form factor and shape for them as they enter this ever popular and growing market of four-wheel drive SUV cars. This car's painted in magma red. It's a lovely colour to launch it in, but we'll just take a quick walk around just so you can see the car and the shapes of it before we run over more detail about the reasoning behind various aspects, the engine, and of course jump onto the inside. But I think the big thing
DiGiorno crispy pan pizza bakes fresh in its own pan and travels straight to your table. Unlike delivery that goes from
is that perhaps it's not as large as I initially might have expected. It's 5.3 meters long, but it very much retains Rolls-Royce's signature characteristics. The doors, for example, the rear doors that open towards the back. Obviously, around the rear section itself, this is all completely new. The shapes required to introduce the large SUV form factor, the shape. There are new lights as well. It's running on the 22-inch wheels with a new finish that they have here, but you have signature features like this spear that runs along the lower section of the side of the car, and a very long, high and proud front end up towards the Spirit of Ecstasy worn at the very top of the grille at the front. Coming into focus then, more on the design. It's created to be purposeful and unforgiving, to have a presence on the road. You could almost see it as Phantom's bodyguard. We'll start right around the front though, where you'll notice that the grille is a different style of installation to that on the Phantom. It sits more right at the front, surrounded either side by the new headlights, which have this distinct running light over the top and around the sides of them, giving it a very high, very wide presence at the front. And the lines that it has, they're all very, very sharp, leading down towards the bottom where you have the exterior stainless steel package, which gives you those trim parts that you can see, accentuating the different shapes. Beneath, right there, you can see the technology elements of the car as well, the radar sensors, for example, also the cameras that are installed in the front windscreen to help with the suspension system. We'll talk more about that as we continue around the car. You'll notice also that it has very, very sheer sides. There are some distinct lines. For example, you'll notice how it comes up towards the front corner, continues with the waft line all the way along the side of the car, along the shoulder of the car, before it comes around the back and swoops back forward on the lower sections. Beneath that, you can see it almost is sculpted and indented inwards along the side with that distinct spear that runs the length, just to bring your eye almost higher and take away some of the sheer scale of the colour on the sides of the car. There are then actually 6 different wheel options that you can have. This is, I think, one of the favourites, with a new dark, almost chrome tinted effect, 22-inch wheels, also available on 21 inches as well, with tyres developed similarly to Phantom, with the epitome of quietness. It's all obviously about the style, luxury, comfort of the drive and riding experience. And then as we come towards the back, this final pillar, the swooping sporty shape, of course it doesn't come completely, I suppose, to a sharp end at the top of the vehicle, and they've had to introduce this new element called the bustle back, which is inspired by the touring cars of the 20s and 30s, where you'd have your luggage almost stored on the rear of the car. But it is a split-fold tailgate, so it opens upwards, and also the lower section will open backwards. And there are some very, very nice features inside there as well. Coming down beyond that, we get to the exhaust tips, the visible tips on this car. So either side, as you can see, of the stainless steel finisher in the centre, but mounted in the bumpers, which are not actually body coloured. And that's because it's really part of the intent of the car, a car that can actually be driven off-road and be driven, say, in the dunes or out on ice, used for a ski holiday, all of those kind of characteristics. Above those, we move to new tail lights. I would say they're quite small relative to the size of the car, but they're finished with the jewels inside, which illuminate, and also that area surrounding them illuminates upon indicating or hazard lights. I think when we start with the interior, we'll probably jump into the back, because it's quite interesting to show how it works in there, the, I suppose, newest part for a Rolls-Royce. But the car is, I would think, very much what you might have expected. It's a very nice package overall. It's been long awaited until it's finally arrived here, the Cullinan, and that was actually their original project name for the car, Project Cullinan, named after a particularly special diamond, a 3,106 carat diamond that was moved to the UK, but the name has stuck and made it through to the production vehicle. This car, like I mentioned, is finished in magma red. It's one of the 2 halo specifications. There are a total of 8 launch specifications, but obviously it is available in any configuration, and being a Rolls-Royce can also be made in a very bespoke way as well, and presumably with options opening in the future also. But this car has the magma red with tan interior. Let's come around to the back where it will be possible to open it up. And I have the key here, which is finished to match the interior of the car. To open the tailgate, one press of the button, and both parts will open up and outwards. Now the lower section of course gives easier access to lift your luggage in, for example, but also it can introduce new options that will come in future with what can be done back here, some of the teasers that we've seen from Rolls-Royce. So this is obviously carpeted, but it has a few rather trick features. The first one to talk about are the rear seats, the 40-20-40 splitting rear seats that are controlled via electric motors using these buttons. So if we press this forwards, the seat is motorized and folds forward. We'll just do the other side as well. You will notice it goes most of the way, and then the headrests move before it folds virtually flat. So significant feature is that those seats go almost flat if you want to use them as a table or to put things in or whatever may be going on. And in addition to that, if you're trying to load, let's say, long pieces of luggage, you will notice that there is a step that's done to maximize the rear space. There is also the option to press this button here, which will angle that part that you can see there to enable you to put luggage in even more easily. On top of that, the parcel shelf can be folded up and put into this cubby storage area underneath the boot floor as well. So that's quite practical and efficient as boots go. And then you can close various parts. If you wanted to just close the rear tailgate, the lower tailgate, that button would do the job there. Or you can press the top and close that down. Very, very convenient and practical. To move to the interior of the car, let us first open it up so you can feast your eyes on the luxurious interior. Now there are of course some design and styling features that we've seen on other Rolls-Royce models, but also some new things to talk about as well. And the first, we need to pop these seats back up, which you do by pressing these buttons, and you can see how they raise slightly and then move the headrests before they go into their final position. You'll also notice next to those buttons we have a USB-C port, one on each side as well as in the front. Tan interior on this car, some nice finishing touches, for example the embossing here that you have on the door card, and also Rolls-Royce have developed a new trim for this car as well. But some first things to just talk about, you can notice the plaque here, the serial plaque that's installed on the car, akin to Rolls-Royces of old. You have a very low side sill, so the stepping into the car is very, very easy. It's flat on the floor either side of the tread plates. A fun feature is the fact that the doors actually come over the outside of the sill. So for example, this part won't actually get dirty, which means you're not going to dirty your clothes stepping in and out if you're using the car in an off-road environment. Now before we get too much onto the interior, I actually want to open up the engine bay and talk a little bit about that side of things and what is powering the car. So if we come around here, obviously very high at the front